up, everybody? You know me, Aseel, the financial therapist. I'm your mindfulness coach, helping you navigate the sensitive topic around money and spending. And to do that, I wanted to help you create a framework to support what mindfulness spending can look like. But first, let's actually define what mindfulness spending is. So being conscious of our financial health and making decisions aligned with that. The first thing I wanted to support you in helping you shape that behavior is setting the stage to what having a mindful relationship with money would look like. And to do that, I would encourage you to create a very harmonious environment when you want to sit down and tackle this issue of your spending. What that means, it's an environment that supports your nervous system. So think about your five senses, what you're smelling, tasting, touching, seeing, and hearing in that moment. So when you want to sit down and tackle your spending, be it looking at your credit card statements, be it thinking about things you need to buy in the next month or the next quarter, be it talking to your partner about their spending behavior or your children or your business partners, whatever the case may be, it's important that you set the right environment that supports that particular conversation from happening. Again, it doesn't have to be a conversation with someone else. It could be an internal reflection exercise that you're doing. So setting the stage right helps you right off the bat associate that particular activity with a calm nervous system, which also supports us in redefining what money means for us and the different emotions that it invokes in our experience. So setting the stage helps you take a step in the right direction right off the bat. So after you've set up the stage, it's very important now that you shift gears and start getting ready to do the work. The first thing you do is start reflecting on your values. There are plenty of exercises that you can find online to help you define what are your values and what are your priorities in this particular area. Because we can have different values that we care about, but if these values ever are in contradiction from one another, one value takes precedent over the other. For example, family for me is a very important value and it will take precedent over, let's say, growth. So if I have an opportunity where I need to pick between family and something else, like a self-development seminar or something else, I would definitely want to be picking choices that are aligned with how I prioritize my values in that moment. So it's important to have a very clear picture and understanding of not only what we value, but also how these values compare to each other. So prioritizing your value is also a step that I'd invite you to do. The next step after defining our values is going through our expenses and finances with a fine-tooth comb. To do that, I invite you to pick 4 months out of the year. This way we're covering all seasons. So pick a month in the winter, fall, summer, and spring. And the reason it's important to do that, because certain months have seasonal purchases that are usually exceptional, like you're buying winter gear or you're actually traveling and going on excursions in the summer or whatever the case may be. So you will find anomalies from one month to the other. And that's why having four particular statements give you a perspective of your annual habits. And by doing that, you're also trying to eliminate things that are usually exceptional for a specific season or exceptional time of the year for you. So when you do that, you can actually start going through these different categories. And what is helpful, and there's actually apps that can even help you in doing that, is you can start seeing patterns that are showing up. For example, you can start identifying the categories that these particular spending behaviors are falling under. Maybe you'll notice that you're purchasing more convenient food like Uber Eats or takeouts. Maybe you're noticing that you're going out more often in certain times of the year, or maybe you're buying clothes in particular times of the year. And you'll be surprised what this data will tell you. The important thing is to practice non-judgmental observation. The goal here is to let the data speak to us, but we need to gently approach it in a way that doesn't feel critical and shaming ourselves in why we did this particular behavior or why we spent this money. And that's not the goal here. The goal is really to start understanding ourselves, start understanding our spending triggers, start understanding what we're doing with our money so that we can then shape it and take ownership of it and make these changes that will help us in the long run. So review your finances mindfully and pick 4 statements that you can go through with details so you can now extract these patterns. Next is trying now to find areas of improvement. So now that you have the data, you know the story. That story says and tells you where are the areas that you want to improve on. And I really invite you, when you're doing that, not to start making improvements left, right, and center, because that won't feel sustainable for you. And you can't change your habits all of a sudden overnight. What's important when you do that is focus on small and steady steps. Perhaps you want to target specifically your eating habits, or you may want to target your online shopping habits, or whatever the case may be. But pick one thing that feels attainable for you in that moment, that feels aligned with you and also within reach, so that you can build momentum that now helps you tackle bigger, harder challenges as you go. Building momentum on this journey is really helpful. So you want to start with like a low-hanging fruit that helps you get into the groove of building this healthy relationship with money. So identify areas of improvement and notice what patterns you can start developing towards that particular goal. The next thing I have for you here is to set mindful spending intentions. To start identifying what mindful spending looks like for you. Now you know your values, you know your habits, you've identified your patterns, but now you want to shape what moving forward looks like. You've been engaged in an unconscious way of showing up in this area, and now that you want to shift it into a more conscious behavior, we want to really have an idea of what that also looks like. So a mindful spending habit for me, for example, is asking myself certain questions prior to making a decision. Some of these questions I've introduced to you before. Why do I need this item? Is it within my budget? Am I buying it for the right reasons? And is it aligned with my values? These are just some mindful questions I go through before I make a decision when I want to buy something. But other mindful decision patterns could be, for example, taking time to check in with my body in the time, doing a quick body scan or breathing exercise to help me align back into the present moment, and ensuring that whatever decisions I'm making in that time are truly empowered and informed in the present versus a reaction of the past or an anxiety-based decision from the future. Anchoring myself back in the present moment also helps me make mindful spending decisions, because then it's based on things taking into consideration at the time. The last thing I want to leave you with is making sure that you're taking action on these intention settings. So not only do we feel empowered when we gain knowledge, but knowledge only when it's translated into practical steps in our life is what brings that power into our life. So it's not just getting the information, but learning how we translate this information into action. So all these videos that you're watching and the community support that you have around you is only going to be as powerful as what you decide to take it into your life. So pause here and go back into your body, reflect on how you're taking this information in, reflect on how it's making you feel, because a part of you may resist it, and that's okay. That is a form of assistance. Resistance is a form of assistance, but recognize this resistance and work with it and decide on one particular thing you want to walk away with. I've shared tidbits and bits of different tools, different invitations, and I'm inviting you to walk away with at least one action item that you're ready to implement today.